You're listening to Rio Radio, the nationally trusted name in real estate investing. We dig deep to discover investors' why in real estate. If you want to skip all the BS and get in investors' heads, you're in the right spot. Be one of the thousands to check out RioRadio.com.
I actually don't think I was much of a visionary in the beginning. I was an integrator and I was decent at doing that. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was decent at just like going in a direction, marching it. But I think I became a visionary over time after getting into rooms where there were a lot of visionaries. I started surrounding myself with visionaries who just had these like stupid visions. Like, I'm gonna go raise $100 million. Okay. It never tormented me until I became the visionary. And then I was stuck in that integrator role of like, show up, fill out your TPS report. Yeah, Monday morning staff meeting and Friday Hawaiian shirt day. And that's when I was like, oh, I got to get out of this.
This episode is brought to you by JM Real Estate Capital.
Hi, it's Rob, JM Real Estate Capital. We're the money guys that you need to know for all your real estate investments. Talk to us. We can do what your local bank can't or won't do. We don't have millions. We have trillions with a T to lend. 844-week close or go online, jmrecapital.com. That's jmrecapital.com. JM Real Estate Capital, smart solutions for the real estate investor.
Welcome to Rio Radio, episode 200 with Brandon Turner.
Part 2.
Was that a real intro?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
All right. We start strong.
We've been known to go off script a lot.
You guys know. No.
Yeah, I know.
You're buttoned up. I know you guys.
160 episodes ago, you kind of teased out a little thing called the Better Life Tribe. We've now, let's see, that was at San Diego BiggerPockets.
Almost 3 years
conference. So 3 years later, what does your life look like related to the Better Life Tribe?
Yeah. So we launched the Better Life Tribe. So the whole idea was this, right? I was on a mountain down in Colorado. I don't know if I told this story then, but Tim Tebow came and showed up. But before Tim got there, the football player, I was like literally shopping for a private jet that day with a private jet broker. And I was like, I'm going to buy a big jet because I'm going to launch this big, cool company and I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to buy a jet for myself. So we're like shopping it. And then that night, Tim Tebow shows up and he's like, hey, there's like literally millions of people across the world that are stuck in like human slavery and it's awful. And here's 50 stories of how horrible it is. And I was like, oh, dang, I don't need a private jet. So instead, I decided to just build this nonprofit, so to speak. We're not technically a nonprofit. Instead, I just pay taxes and do it the wrong way. But we donate all profits to charity, which is cool. And we got 1,000 members in there now. But yeah, it's the Better Life Tribe is one of my favorite things that I do because it's just active real estate investors. You can't even join if you're not a real estate investor. So I think it's like a giant real estate club, but digital, and all the profits go to charity. So it's pretty fun. I like it quite a bit.
Do you make people show a copy of the deeds to their investment properties? Kind of like you have to provide your passport or a driver's license, or like you have to prove that you're a real estate investor.
I wish I did. No, we literally just like, you can tell, right? Like people are like, oh yeah, I do the real estate investment kind of thing. And you're like, I'm sure you do. Yeah, actually what's crazy about the tribe too, is a lot of people assume that it's a lot of newbies, but our average, if you were to take the average, and this is taking me out of the equation because I have a ridiculous number that skews the number. But if you take me out of the equation, the average is 33 units owned and an average of $4 million net worth. So it's not just a bunch of newbies. It's actually like legit real estate investors who are trying to scale. I did a goal setting class yesterday for it. And yeah, hearing people's goals, like, oh yeah, my goal is to take it from 25,000 a month of cash flow to 45,000. I'm like, oh dang, like these are real people. This is cool. So yeah, it's been fun. It's a good journey.
Poor people are real people too, Brandon.
Are they though? Are they? I don't know.
Oh, okay. So what is First Deal and what is Megan doing in relation to
I have no idea what Megan's doing.
Deal?
I have no idea. So First Deal, the idea was, it was actually used to be called My First Deal because that domain name was available. And so I had this, I don't know, theory is the wrong word, but like I have this heart towards newbies, right? Here's a little secret. I'm going to spill some tea here. most of the real estate educators in the space, like think of all the biggest names you've heard of in like real estate that have big Instagram accounts. Whenever we get together in person, everyone's like, I hate newbies. I hate newbies. Oh, newbies suck. Everyone hates newbies. I'm like the only guy who's like, I love newbies. Like I literally, my favorite thing is to teach a newbie like that an FHA loan can be done for 3.5% down. That fires me up. I don't know why. I really love teaching fundamental stuff. Maybe it's because I'm not very smart. And so it's like, I can sound smart by teaching people about FHA loans. I love it. So I thought I'm going to teach a bunch of newbies who can't get in the Better Life Tribe. I mean, you can't even get in the tribe. So why don't I teach newbies how to get into the game so they can join the tribe so we can give away millions of dollars to fight human trafficking? That was the theory behind it. So we launched my first deal. And then I went and paid 13 grand for the domain name First Deal, which was a lot of money to spend on a domain name, but I love it. And then we teach people how to buy real estate. And somehow I conned Megan here into being an advisor, which is, we have advisors. They basically show up on a call and you can just pick their brain. And then from there, she somehow blackmailed me into becoming whatever your title is today. I don't know, basically running things.
What is your
title? Megan's actually doing a really good job. If I had like 50 Megans in my life, like running all my stuff, like I'd be very happy. So
that's
good job,
a lot.
Oh,
Megan, okay, well, tell us what your understanding of your role is now too.
yeah, I'm head of First Deal, so pretty much just run it. And I just conned Brandon into that. So it's great. It's really good.
It's really good. People are buying deals. That's what's fun. Is like every week, at least one person buys a deal in the group, and it's cool to see it actually working. And like the light bulb go off in people's heads. They're like, "Oh, this actually works," and it's been fun. And it's guaranteed, which is fun. I mean, it's a conditional guarantee, but it's still guaranteed. Like, do the work, you'll get a deal, or we'll refund you. And it's a pretty solid pitch. Yeah, people show up and do the work, they will get a deal, right? It's always shocking, right? Like, I mean, the idea like nobody got a 6-pack without like knowing they were going to get a 6-pack. You know, does that make sense? Like, it's like nobody gets a 6-pack and like, oh shoot, how'd this get here? Like, whoa. Like, I'm not shocked. I don't have a 6-pack, but I wouldn't be shocked if I had a 6-pack because that means I worked towards it, right? Like, the same thing is true in real estate. It's like, you shouldn't be shocked you got your first deal. Like, you literally made 12 offers, you got a good real estate agent, and you have a unique strategy that cash flows. Okay, cool. So anyway, we try to make that just like the thing. It's like, just do the work and you're going to get a deal. And so far it's working.
Now, Megan says that she's going to be running the Better Life Tribe by this time next year.
No, I did
She's
not
gonna
say
be
that.
running
I did not say that. I said the 50. Matt, but if you're listening, I'm not coming for your job, bro.
She was so quick on that.
I know. You're going to make enemies out of people I don't need enemies of.
You got to manage Matt, Francois, and Ian then. So you got to talk with them. But, you know, I can see Megan taking over the 50 someday. 50 is a good group. And we don't let women in. So it's like the only way Megan here's my theory. Because Megan has a little bit of like, I don't know what you call it, like short man syndrome or whatever, where like she really wants to be included. And I put up a wall and I said, you can't join the 50. And she joins everything you've been in part of almost everything I've done, from the masterminds to the social media stuff. And so when Megan found out she could not join the 50, she almost got a sex change. She was like 5 minutes away. And then instead she thought, what if I just take over another one of Brandon's businesses and then do so good at it that I end up owning the 50? And it is a very long con she's playing, but it's working.
It'd be hilarious if Jeff joined it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince him to join.
It would crush my soul.
This might be a good time to let you know that she now identifies as she, him, and
yep.
So
she tried that angle.
I did.
We're not woke enough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can't get away with that anymore.
Okay, I did give Megan the benefit of the doubt at the last 50 event, so it's all men. And I started that way from the beginning, and we can go into why and whatever, but I started that way. And then I asked the guys, I'm like, all right, I've been hearing some grumblings that you guys want to make this a co-ed sort of a community. Can we just get a vote? Let's just vote on this. And yeah, there was like 40 guys in the room, like 38 of them said, no, men only. And like 2 guys were like, we'll take the women. And I'm like, all right. So.
And those 2 guys were single, right?
Yeah, exactly. There were the 2 single guys in the room. The guys just want to hang out with each other and get away from the regular life. And so we're going to keep it that way for now.
Okay. So in the 3-ish or so years since the last time we talked to you, lots changed. So you mentioned the 50 first deal. You've grown, well, the acquisition and property acquisition business quite a bit. What does that look like now? Maybe we'll just touch briefly on real estate, since I think this is a real estate podcast. What's the world look like there for your daily activities in real estate?
Yeah, my daily activities is like putting out fires. Most of what I do is like putting out fires, and a lot of that's just brainstorming. So like I literally get on a call with like whoever, Walker, who's my CEO, and we'll just talk through how are we going to do this one strategy for this thing. Or I get on a call with the property manager and it's like, how are we going to do this thing? It's very high level, big picture strategy. That's most of what my day is. And then ultimately I'm still the guy driving the raising of capital, right? So like I spend a decent amount of time thinking and planning podcasts, YouTube, social media, all that stuff. But I got a good team. I mean, I built Open Door Capital from the top down. We might have talked about that on the last time. But like when I say top down, it means I didn't come in doing all the work myself and then slowly bring in people to like replace my time, which is what most people do when you start a company. I was just like, day one, I need a CEO. And like I just put somebody in there and I'm like, you build the company. It's almost like I'm a board of directors sort of a spot. I love that spot because I get to be the visionary. I get to get people excited and getting pumped up and solve big problems, but I don't have to really get in the day-to-day grind. And I love that. Ultimately, that's what worked, right? Because throwing back to what we talked about a minute ago, like you get the results of what you repeatedly do, right? If you do the work, you get the results. The problem is I'm like super like visionary and ADHD, maybe Megan thinks I'm ADHD, but like I can't like do the work very well. I just want to bounce around and do everything else. And so what I realized like the ultimate hack here is just to hire people who are not that way. And then they just do the work. And like, as soon as I did that, I did it at BiggerPockets. I did it at Open Door Capital. I've done it at First Deal. I've done it at Better Life. And I've done it at the 50s. Hire other people and then like make them do the work. And if they don't do the work, they don't get paid. And that's like the best motivation. So it's working.
I know you've talked about this a million times and you're probably tired of talking about it, but the whole thing about being a visionary is you have ideas, you have strategies, you have people to execute on what the plan is. But you were stuck in an integrator role for quite a while, right? Like you were acting as basically a not really a COO, but you were doing a lot of the arms and legs work within BiggerPockets for quite a while. How do you function like that for a long period of time and not just like want to blow your brains out?
Yeah, good question. I actually don't think I was much of a visionary in the beginning. I mean, maybe like I obviously led. Like I came to BiggerPockets after I already owned 30 rental units and already had kind of a baseline financial freedom. So obviously I led my family there, but I am not a great entrepreneur. Like when I get up in the morning, I'm not great at just like, here's my list of 12 things. I'm gonna go knock them out and I'm just gonna be self-motivated. I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do, I just like will scroll on my phone, Instagram reels all day long if given the opportunity. And so I actually work really well as when I was the kind of integrator at BiggerPockets. I was just like the get stuff done guy. So Josh Dorkin would be like, you know what we need to do? We need to write guest blog posts on other people's websites that then link back to BiggerPockets, and that will help us grow in the SEO rankings. I'm like, say no more. And I wrote 200 blog posts over the course of like a year and a half, like hundreds of them. Yeah, point me in a direction, and I just like ran. So I was an integrator, and I was decent at doing that. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was decent at just like going a direction, marching it. I think I became, and I've never thought this through, so I'm going to stumble across these words here, but I think I became a visionary over time after getting into rooms where there were a lot of visionaries. So for example, like the GoBundance group, which I'm still a part of today, a guy named David Osborne, who I really look up to a lot. He's actually going to be one of our keynote speakers at the REI Summit coming up.
He's amazing.
June.
Oh, there's that plug you're looking for, Megan.
There it is right there. REI Summit is going to be awesome. But David Osborne's one of the guys, like I once heard him say on stage, he was going to go raise $100 million. And I was like, that's so ridiculous. Like a person can't raise $100 million. I can't raise $1 million. Like he's going to go raise $100 million. Like how absurd. And then a year later, I raised $120 million in 8 weeks. Guaranteed I would not have been able to do that had I not been in that room with David Osborne. So I started surrounding myself with visionaries who just had these like stupid visions. Like I'm going to go raise $100 million. Okay. He did it. And then I did it. So I think I became a visionary. So it never tormented me until I became the visionary. And then I was stuck in that integrator role of like, show up, fill out your TPS report, Yeah, Monday morning staff meeting and Friday Hawaiian shirt day. And that's when I was like, oh, I got to get out of this. And
by the way, I do want to point out, Ted and I both kind of
I did notice
Hawaiian shirt themed things.
Very loud.
That's as Hawaiian shirt as it gets in Nebraska.
Yeah, this is Nebraska.
I was going to say, are either of those technically Hawaiian shirts? I don't know. They're colorful. They're
But that has become your secret sauce. Like, that is what Brandon is so good at, and also probably his biggest downside too. Is like, he can be like, oh, we're gonna have 5,000 people in first deal and we want 75% of them to buy a house. And I'm like, bro, I think that might be impossible. But like, he's like, doesn't matter. That's the vision. We're going for it. And then it's like, okay, then it's my job to go, how does that happen? And then build it backwards. And the same with your open door capital, right? Like 13,000 units would seem impossible, but then you made it possible.
Yeah, honestly, the vision for Open Door Capital was originally 1,000 units. Like, even then I thought that was an impossible goal. Like, how could we have 1,000 rental units? And then it's like, we just blew past it because there's like this like magic that happens. It's like magic, right? And I use that word deliberately, magic, because there's a quote from David Blaine, who's a famous magician. And he says something along the lines of like, magic is real, but magic is just doing the same trick 1,000 times until it looks flawless, right? It's something like that. I'm probably butchering his quote, but the idea being like, you just do the work. Like I keep coming back to, do the work, you get the results. And so we did the work. We had a vision. We got an organizational structure. We use EOS. In other words, that aligns our vision down to actionable steps. And then we met every single week and we measured ourselves to certain KPIs. It's like, and you just hire a bunch of people within that framework, and shocking, it works. Just like you eat 1,800 calories a day and you go run 5 miles a day and you go to the gym 5 times a week, shocking, you lose the weight. So we just did that at Open Door Capital, but it begins with vision. If you don't have a good vision, it's really hard to line up goals then, because like you don't know where you're going and nobody else knows where you're going. And it's really hard to convince somebody to come along with you when you don't know where you're going. It's like, hey, we're going to go build a business that is going to do something somehow. I'm not sure how, and it probably won't work. Sorry.
For every really good visionary, there's 10 frustrated integrators following him around being like, how are we going to do this? Right.
Yeah.
But peeling back a layer a bit, there's the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And there's like a whole bunch of analogies that people have made, and the whole like bro, self-improvement movement out on Instagram parrots this all the time. But like kind of looking closer at this. So you mentioned you had, it sounds like if we could describe it a different way, like limiting beliefs. So you said 1,000 doors. How am I going to do that? How am I going to raise $100 million? That's ridiculous. Like, okay, I just have monopoly money and I'm throwing it around. But when you actually get in the room or get around people that are maybe at levels different than you in life in a positive way, whether it's business or other things that you aspire to be, what do you think happens actually? Like you start spending time with people, you start hearing the things they're saying. What gets you to the point where you think you dispel the belief that you had before and start absorbing, like, and saying, yeah, I get it now. I see what's possible. Is it a tangible thing, or does it just happen over time? And before you know it, you're so far ahead of the starting line that you don't even, you can't even see.
I'm going to answer this kind of a unique way. Have you guys heard of Alan Carr's? You ever heard of Alan Carr? A guy named Alan Carr? He became very famous for writing a book on how to stop smoking. It's called like Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. And it sold like 20 million copies. It's like a ridiculously popular book. He then wrote one on alcohol, on how to stop drinking. So I'm listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he's interviewing Nikki Glaser, I think it was.
Oh, she's hilarious. Comedian. She's hilarious.
She is so funny, right? Yeah. And she says, I stopped drinking entirely. And then because I read a book, and then my mom stopped drinking because she read it, and I gave it to my sister and she stopped drinking. And I was like, that's insane that somebody would read a book and stop drinking. And so Joe, of course, asked her, what book was it? And she says, Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Drinking. And so I didn't want to stop drinking. Like I was like, I'm just curious, how could a book make you not want to drink? So I read the book, or I listen to the book on Audible, and I go for a walk and I listen to the book an hour a day for, a couple weeks. And I get to the end of the book and I stop drinking and I literally just stop drinking. Right now, I've picked it back up again, and I'll get back to that maybe in a second. I stopped drinking. But I didn't stop drinking from a I shouldn't drink standpoint or drinking's bad for me. I literally had no desire to drink anymore. I was like, I can't believe I wanted to drink. What a weird thing. And here's why. And he says this in the book. We all have these beliefs that connect like point A to point B in our minds. Example with drinking. When I drink, I am more fun. I'm more fun to be around when I drink. And so like he takes a whole chapter and he'll be like, you think that you're more fun when you drink. Here is a bunch of psychological studies, scientific studies, personal anecdotes and stuff that shows that is not true. You are a worse person to be around when you drink, and you just think you're a better person. You're actually more of a moron, and no one really likes you as much when you're drinking. And you get to the chapter and you're like, oh, shoot, you're right. In other words, you take the belief you had, that bridge, that belief, and it just crumbles it. And you're like, well, I mean, at least drinking's healthy. Having a glass of wine before dinner is actually healthy. Spends a whole chapter, destroys that myth. It's gone. And he just systematically breaks every belief you have about drinking. By the time you get to the end of the book, you're like, I have literally zero reasons to drink. I remember I did this. I wrote down a list at the end of the book. I was like, should I stop drinking? I don't want to drink. And so I wrote down a list, all the reasons to drink. And I wrote all the reasons not to drink. My not to drink list was like 20 things long. My to drink thing, the only one I wrote down there was it's awkward when I go out with people who are drinking for me to say no to drinking. That was the only reason at the end. Yeah. Now, so I went 6 months without drinking a drop of anything. I didn't want to, zero desire. And then I went to dinner with like literally probably the number one hero, like entrepreneur hero I have in life. His name's Scott Harrison. He runs a company called Charity Water. It's a charity that is unbelievably cool. I go to dinner with him and I was like, this was like my celebrity dinner. Like, and he's like, here, have a glass of wine. And I was like, oh, okay. And then then all my beliefs started coming back. It is more fun with wine. So anyway,
and he's like, here, have a shot of Jaeger.
Exactly. Yeah. It just went downhill quick. Now, why do I bring that whole story up? It's a long story. It's not about drinking. And I've never formulated this fully, but I believe we all have these beliefs, whether it's like a person can't, raise $100 million or real estate doesn't work or I don't deserve it or money's bad. It's the root of all evil. We have these beliefs. And when you get around people who don't have those beliefs, they just systematically break each one, whether they do it verbally or they do it just subconsciously. Money's bad. Well, I see this guy who's really rich and he's giving away so much money and helping so many people. That belief is gone. Now, what of this belief? That's too hard. Well, that guy's a moron and he's a millionaire through real estate. Clearly, it's not too hard. That belief is gone. So when you get in the right room with people and you get around people, they systematically break down all of your beliefs and they replace them with new ones, and you don't even know what's happening. And pretty soon you're out there buying 14,000 units because people around you were doing the same thing. That was a long answer to a short question.
No, that's a great analogy though. And I can't really poke holes in that. I've been thinking, like, while you were talking, I was picturing, because we both did dry January. Yep. Like I've done that for a few years and a lot of times alcohol is a social lubricant, right? Yep. So it's easy, and that's the fallback option. It's
like, a podcast lubricant also.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I feel bad. I'm only drinking salty water, elements.
Well, you can say you put a...
Yeah, I put a bunch of liquor in there.
Yeah. It's all good.
I was just dumping like Casamigos right in there. Just as
yes. Yeah. But no, I would think I agree with you on that. It's hard to poke holes in things when you're with people that have existing proof of what they're saying. Yeah. And but yeah, I was just curious on your take on that, because it's like, the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and if they have vastly different belief systems than you, I think the common denominator is, though, you have to have an open mind to not resisting a differing opinion from yourself.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. So you're off the wagon now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm drinking again a little bit, but what I'm really trying though right now is I set a goal myself like a year ago. I said, I'm turning 40 in July. I want a visible 6-pack by 40. And like the number one thing that's going to kill that ambition is drinking. So I'm really not drinking again right now, but not for the same reasons. Now I just literally just don't want, I'm doing everything in my power to get there by July. I will say though, with the 5 people you associate with, what I think people get wrong about this, or maybe wrong's too strong of a word, is that they only then hang out with people that get them better in one area of their life. And usually that's financial or success wise. Right. And so in other words, like I'm not going to hang out with my loser friends that just want to play video games all day because I want more success. That sounds good on the surface, but what if your loser friends that play video games all day actually have a really good relationship with their spouse and they're really solid? And most rich people I know, they don't have a great relationship with their spouse. So maybe I'd actually be better off hanging out with my quote unquote loser friends, because a spouse matters more than, the money or a spiritual walk, a walk with God, or anything. And so I think we just have to be careful about the 5 people thing. It's true, but we have to use it in the right way and not just get rid of all of our quote unquote loser friends, which is easy to do.
That's a pretty interesting take on that too, because, and I was thinking about, it's very prevalent for people to like associate success with only wealth.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the sexy thing. And that's what gets the most publicity and all that, and whatever they post about online. But yeah, like, you might look up to somebody as a father, like a really good example of an awesome dad, or maybe they're a really good husband or wife, or they're successful and they're very healthy, or they do, they're spiritually very solid and they're grounded and those things, but it doesn't get celebrated. So it's kind of hard to, I think it's hard for people to gravitate toward that, because it's not obvious to anyone else other than people that know them that they are successful in that facet of life. Whereas when it's money and financial success and, like everybody's posting everything, that you can obviously see they're doing well. And that's why they gravitate toward people like that. But, there's a lot of really successful people that are doing things like, I feel bad for even bringing this up with Megan in the room, especially, but like mommy bloggers, like there'll be people that are just like mommy blogger bosses, they're like, here's my, tips for doing all the stuff that makes me a kick-ass mom and so forth. And they are really popular. And so I think that's actually a pretty good take on that, because like when you think of success, everybody gravitates toward financial, and it's not just that at all. Like life is life, right? You have so many other facets of your life that are important.
I'm not sure why that was a jab on me.
No,
mommy blogger.
Mommy blogger.
There's that great quote. It's like, I don't want to spend my whole life climbing the ladder only to realize I was leaning against the wrong wall. Or like another guy said it maybe better, is like, you can gain the whole world and lose your soul. It was Jesus. Like, so in other words, like how you build your life has to be more well-rounded than just money. And we all know that intuitively. We're like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not just about money. But then like, are our actions backing it up? So that's why when I built the Better Life Tribe, like the idea of the tribe is not a real estate investing group. It's a real estate investor group. And the difference being, I care way more about my people that are in the tribe. I care about their health and their family and their parenting and their spousing, if that's a word. I care about that. And so what we do is we have this practice, and it's a common practice, but we do it every quarter in the tribe. We make everybody do it. It's like you do like that wheel of life practice, right? Where you like, I have like 10 categories of life. So you have your career, you have your personal finances, you have your health and fitness, you have your fun and recreation, your environment, like the world around you, you have your parenting, spouse, spirituality, growth and learning. And I'm probably missing one in there. And you look at that and then you rank 0 to 10. How are you on each one of those? And that way, every quarter, you're rebalancing your life. And you're saying, hey, I'm out of whack here. Or as Jay Papasan and Gary Keller in the book, The One Thing say, is like, there is no such thing as work-life balance. It's work-life balancing. You have to constantly adjust because there is no equilibrium to be found. That's why the tribe, every quarter, Wheel of Life. If anybody's interested, just go to abetterlife.com/wheel. You can just do a digital version of it. It's free. There's no even opt-in, I don't think, for it. But you can kind of balance your life and look at it. And then you can set goals based upon your current problems in life or the area you want to apply focus to. So you're like yesterday, we did goal setting every quarter. So yesterday was our goal setting for the quarter, for the whole tribe. And I realized like, oh, I want to work on my marriage this quarter. Okay, great. Why? Because I only rated a 6 instead of a 9. So now I can apply pressure. Last quarter, though, I focused on my spirituality. And so I got into a rhythm of doing like morning reading and meditation and Bible and prayer. So like every quarter, I'm readjusting based on the areas that are falling behind. And that has been game changing for me to try to keep my whole life elevated and not get out of whack. So I'm not perfect at it, but I recommend it. It's super helpful.
That's so good. So I was thinking about this. Ted and I were talking a little bit ago today, and this is a topic shift, if that's all right.
Let's do it.
Have you ever been scammed, or have you ever associated with and partners with, had anybody in your life where you thought, man, they're just a solid person, they're great, you're cheering for them, and you do that a lot. You give out accolades to people that are like, this guy's awesome, and I do the same thing. Ted does too. Megan, I'm not sure. She seems kind of salty.
I mean, I hired my business coach specifically on the alkaloids he gave out to Jason Dries.
Yeah. So, but have you ever been wrong about somebody? I'm curious about that. I definitely have, and this isn't something that gets talked about a lot. I mean, usually it's all the rah stuff.
Yeah, it's a good question. Not severely. I mean, I hired some woman to help run first deal, and it's just going down the toilet.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, I mean, the only one that comes to mind, I mean, I hired a contractor once. I paid him $5,000 for windows, and then for the down payment on windows, and he took the money and ran. It just like never did it. But I found out where he lived. He had a house. He owned a house, and so I put a lien on his house, his own personal house. And then when he tried to sell it 5 years later, I got paid back plus interest.
Oh,
so that was,
nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
Was that satisfying?
That was so sad. You know what? I was so good to him too. Like let me pat myself on the back here and tell you how much of a saint I am. Because here's what happened, right? I put the lien for $5,000. In the lien, I don't know. I don't even know if you're supposed to do this or if I did it wrong, but I didn't put what the interest was. I just said plus interest, I think. And so like the lady calls me one day out of the blue, title company. She says, hi, Mr. Turner, I'm trying to close a transaction here for this guy who sold his house. It says here that he owes you some money and that you need to pay it off. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And she's like, well, how much was it for? It says $5,000. Is that right? And I said, yes. And she goes, and she literally, this was her tone. How much do you want? That's what she said. And I was like, excuse me? And she goes, how much do you want? It's not written here. I was like, I can just name a number. She goes, you can name a number, anything you want. And I'm like, that's first of all, ridiculous that works that way. And so anyway, I ended up saying 7,000. I figured that was about right for interest. So I could have taken that guy so much more. I'm a good person. Despite what people think, I'm a good person.
Note to self, insert clause that says plus interest.
That's the golden nugget for the day right there.
Just right, blanket plus interest. And then you can fill it in the blank later, depending on how pissed you are.
That's great. Okay, here's a twist on the question then. So this is, I get it, but have you ever had anybody on the BP podcast that ended up being a pretty shady character? I'm not asking you to name names unless you want to, but like, how did you guys handle that?
Yeah, it's happened a few times. I mean, one guy, I met him at a meetup in Seattle. It seemed super cool. Everyone was like, oh, this guy's the best. He's so cool. And he literally just took everyone's money, raised a bunch of money, and then just fled the country with it and just like retired. Like he took like, I don't know, it was like $3 million or something wild like that. And he just left. Wow. And he just moved back to, I don't know, it was like Taiwan or Mongolia. I don't know, somewhere else that he was originally from. And he just moved back there and probably is living like a king right now. Like, what are you going to do about it? It's just like, so anyway, I took his episode. When that happens, we just take people's episodes down.
Yeah.
Probably happened 4 or 5 times. People would just, take the episode down.
This reminds me of like it was like my first year taking over the local Rio, and we had a guy come in. He's got a great story.
Yep. And
then like he secretly put a booth in the back and was like raising money for coaching. Yeah. And all of a sudden he's like getting $20,000 per person for coaching in the back, and people think my name's associated with it. Yep. Like no. And then I like had to write it into my agreement. If you speak at our group, you cannot sell anything.
Yeah, that's good because
no, not at all.
Megan, has it ever happened to you? Have you ever been scammed by a contractor or
bamboozled?
So many times. It kind of comes with the territory, I think. So on my first deal, I hired a contractor long distance, and I was paying him on draw schedule. I'd send him like 4/6 of the whole entire amount. And every time he would take a picture of one area. So like he would take a picture of one room and say the interior paint was done. And then I would send him the draw for that. And he would take a picture of just the front of the house and say the exterior paint was done, but really the other 3 sides weren't painted yet. And I would send him the money for that. And so I ended up going out, checking up on him, and realizing that none of what he said was done. And it worked out fine. I got him to finish it. That's fine.
And it made for good content.
It did. Yeah.
It's all for the content.
Still paying off.
It's all for the gram. Yeah, for the gram.
One thing I was thinking about when I was preparing for this was the lives that you impacted. And you could think about that on a national scale. You're like, hey, I've had 100 million plus downloads. But if you think about like really honing in on, okay, so we're here in Omaha, Nebraska, where we're recording, and we could just literally count over and over the amount of people that have been personally impacted you. And I'm just talking about the people in the room first off. But then it was like Ryan Miller, it was Colin Schwartz. It was out of Lincoln.
Chad Beeman.
Chad Beeman.
Owen Dashner.
Grant Franacki. You know,
Frankie.
Frankie.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can sit here and name 10 plus people just in this 50-mile radius, is Omaha just like a one-off where you have
It is.
a ton of contacts? Or, I mean, are you just literally making so many connections around the country where you're just constantly like taking these one-on-one meetups and impacting people's lives? I mean, it's really remarkable, to be honest with you.
There probably is somewhat of a hub there. I don't know. Maybe just because, 3 guys in the 50 are all from that area out of the 50 guys. It sounds really good when things are going good, though. Like, I always like to joke, like, people are like, oh my gosh, you changed my life. I'm like, cool, in a good way or bad way. Like, it can go either way, right? Like, hey, get into real estate. It'll be great for you. And then they lose everything. And it's like, So, as the market's been going up and up and up for the last 10 years, my ego has been stroked many times. And it feels really good. And then now that the market's going down in a lot of areas, I'm hearing a lot more of, people are not mean to me, but definitely people are struggling right now. So it's, was it really me that did it? Or was it just the fact that they took action? I just happened to be part of their story. I think that's more common. I've said that to people like, oh my gosh, you changed my life. And it's true, but hundreds of people change your life all the time. Mm-hmm. So I try not to feed into that too much because I wrote some books and I was on a podcast and I asked good questions. It's not like that actually changed their life. I mean, think about it this way. It's like the number of people who have actually probably bought properties that actually listened to me and then found financial freedom. I don't even know, like call it 100,000. That's probably even overly generous. How many people have listened to me though? Like 100 million. And so therefore my success rate is probably like 0.1% in reality, which means that it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing I'm doing. It's just like those people would have succeeded anyway. I just happen to be the conduit in which they got a little bit further along. So,
well, it sounds like with all these people visiting in Maui and other places that you're due for an Omaha trip anytime soon, or Lincoln.
You know what? I keep trying to come, and every time Megan's like, "Don't come to Omaha. Nobody wants you here. It's just you'll ruin the state. Just leave." Yeah. And so I just don't come.
Do you remember where you were the first time you got recognized?
I do. I have a great story on that one. I was with my in-laws. Which is the best place to get recognized. The first time I think they were like, oh, maybe he is okay.
You finally sold him on.
Yeah, I finally sold him. I was on vacation in Oahu, and there's a drive called Tantalus. If anybody's been on Oahu or you're going there, go do that drive. It's beautiful. Go snake up this huge thing, get to the very top of this massive hill or mountain, and it's like all of like Waikiki Beach and the whole city of Honolulu, and the sun was going down and we're sitting there watching it. And yeah, some couple was like, hey, aren't you that guy from that podcast? And that I felt so cool that day. But my favorite story of getting recognized is actually, I was on top of another mountain story. I was on top of a mountain in Colorado, climbing a 14er with Josh Dorkin early on. And Josh Dorkin, founder of BiggerPockets, we were on the podcast together, and we were just like, BSing the way that we do because we're actually friends and we actually BS and talk to each other. And somebody whips around. They're like, was that Josh and Brandon? And they recognize us purely from our banter and our voice. And so I thought that was a good day too. They on top of a mountain. So
that's so funny. I've gotten recognized one time from my voice and like the in a Target, the aisle next to me. Okay, so this lady hears me probably yelling at my kids or something. And she's like, is that the Chatty investor? And my mom was there and she's
That's
like,
so funny.
What the heck? I'm like, yeah, I'm famous now. I can't smack my kids around in public anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Okay. So this is the thing with being recognized is like, I get DMs from people almost, maybe not daily, but at least several times a week that say, I saw you XYZ place. I saw you at line at Starbucks. I saw you at the mall. I saw you ever. And I didn't want to bug you, so I didn't say anything, which tells me that for all the people that do recognize me, which happens a decent amount, there are more people that didn't say anything. So in other words, they have seen me yelling at my kids and picking my nose and like crying outside of a H&M because they won't give me a refund. They've seen it all. And that never happened. So yeah, you gotta watch yourself. People have seen me apparently in bad spots. So
I had that happen once in the elevator. I was going to a meetup event and it was going up the elevator and the lady goes, isn't that the guy that you listen to on your podcast all the time? And then he turned beet red.
The guy did.
Yes,
that's funny.
And then he's been my go-to electrician or plumber ever since.
This was funny. So about when was this? Probably we had maybe 50 episodes that we'd done on the podcast, and I was in Lowe's. I was in sweats and like I hadn't shaved in 3 days, probably hadn't showered, and I'm just like, oh God, I'm looking for something, frustrated. I walk by somebody and he goes, I like your podcast. You're like super close. And I was like, thanks. That was the first time, and I was just like, what the hell? So fast forward to about 3-4 weeks ago, we interviewed him on the podcast. It was Jeff Hansen. Yeah. It was. I was like, I had no idea who he was at all, and he's just like gives me one of those like, "What's up?" And yeah, so that was weird. But I don't have a beard or anything, so it makes me a little less recognizable.
I grew the beard. I literally grew it, so it would be a brand. Like this was a deliberate choice because I had a small ego and I needed a bigger one. So I thought, how do I get a bigger ego? Grow a big beard, let people recognize me.
Speaking of beards, do you still have Beardy Brew?
I do. Beardy Brew Coffee, beardybrew.com. It's the best coffee you'll ever drink. I'm not kidding. It's phenomenal. It's a long time for that. It's the only coffee with a real piece of beard hair in every cup.
Okay, I gotta ask.
It's a charity. It's a charity, by the way. Beardy Brew exists. Yeah, it exists to support the foster care group, one of the foster care groups here on Maui. So that's why we do it. It's fun,
cool. Is it Kona coffee? Like,
It's a Maui blend. So it's got Maui coffee plus a couple other things like Guatemala and Nicaragua, I think it is. Anyway, but what I did is I literally just went to the, like, there's like coffee shops and coffee people, and then there's like coffee people. Like they all have mustaches, even the women, and like they all like wear
like cigar smokers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get the vibe, right? Like the real coffee people. I went to the most coffee people I could find on Maui. They win all the awards. They've won like the championships and the brewing this and that. And I just white labeled their best selling stuff. And so the stuff that they're most famous for, Beardy Brew is just white labeled that, which is why it doesn't make a lot of money because they're really expensive. But yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So what is okay. You're going on a trip to Maui randomly, right? So, and Megan, this is maybe a question for you. How expensive is it to exist in Maui? Like
to live or vacation?
Like, what do you think you spend just to live there? Do you have any idea on, and now leave out the extravagances.
Yeah.
What does it cost a day in the life of Brandon Turner or a year in the life of Brandon Turner? You add it all up. What do you think the bill is
versus like Minnesota?
Yeah. Maybe a way to answer that would be like, it would be very hard to live in Maui under $250,000 a year. Like if you make less than $250,000 a year, it'd be tough. I'm not saying you can't do it. You can do it. It'd be tough. I mean, you're paying $5,000 to $10,000 for your rent. I mean, groceries are probably on average double about over the course of a month, maybe that you'd pay if you were, in the Midwest. Eating out is probably triple of what you'd pay in the Midwest. When you're paying $28 for a Mai Tai at Monkey Pod, it's like, it's not that bad, but some places are that bad. Mama's is that bad. Anyway, so you spend a lot more there. On the other side, though, you don't have entertainment costs, right? Like there is no concert to go to. You don't go hang out at the club, and like you literally go to the beach and it's free, and you go surfing and that's free. So you do save some money on the entertainment side. And Costco make things cheaper, but I'm still spending $2,000 a month minimum at Costco for groceries.
There's no way that you know that number. Dude, okay. Hold on. First of all,
fact checker.
Love you to death, Brandon, but
I do know that number.
Way that you look at the total when you buy your groceries. First of all. Secondly, I was spending at least $4,000 a month on food.
No,
2,000 is probably.
I do the grocery shopping for the most part, and I think $2,000 is probably right. You think it's more than that? Now I have no idea. I think I'm probably right.
There's no way that you know that number. But
Megan thinks that I'm not very good with numbers, and she makes fun of me for that from time to time, like every day. But you know what?
Doesn't I literally told him that before we started. I'm like, yeah, he'll be like, oh, I don't know. I think it's like 800,000. And I'm like, it's 1.2 million. You're like, same thing.
Same thing.
That's literally $600,000 difference.
That was literally a soundbite like 5 minutes before we hit record because Ted made some ridiculous statement and then walked out of the room. And I go, The thing about Ted is
That's like a mic drop moment.
He will give you something like his number on something, and it's within a range, and it's always the high end of whatever range that is. That is his number. So
it works.
Yeah, that's funny. So, okay, Brandon, I've got a question for you that I was curious about. So you've been well known for, you started in single family, got into multifamily, got into mobile home parks. You've done a whole bunch of different asset classes and different things. What do you right now make the most active income from? Is it real estate, or is it, like doing the other things like speaking and royalties from the books, or random checks that show up in your mailbox from companies that have sold?
It is that. No, my money is, I make money from so many different places that it's a little bit hard to track sometimes. But yeah, I would say if I had to guess, I mean, I honestly don't even know this. I'm going to say this and then I'm like, Megan's going to laugh at this. I would probably guess the most of my money comes from First Deal, but I actually don't know if First Deal is actually making any money. Megan's got to figure that one out. So if I had to guess, the thing is, like, I read a book recently by a guy who's a billionaire or possibly a billionaire, a guy named Felix something or other. It's called How to Get Rich. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek book about wealth building. It's pretty decent. But he makes a point in there. He said, any billionaire who tells you their net worth isn't a billionaire. Or basically he said like billionaires don't know their net worth, even within like a massive range. He goes, I'm worth somewhere between 500 million and 3 billion, and I don't know. He's like, and anybody tells you that they do know is just lying to you, or they're not actually that rich. And not that I'm anywhere close to that rich, but what I mean by that is I understand what he means. Cause like, I mean, for example, First Deal, we sell a $6,000 membership. We pay the sales guys, we pay somebody else, At the end of the day, I clear $3,000. But now I got to pay coaches for the next 12 months on that person. And that costs money to fulfill over time. Did I actually make any money, or did I make $3,000? Now multiply that times 100. We're getting close to 100 people a month joining. Am I making 300,000 a month, or am I making no money? I'm not really sure. We're working on that right now. So you extrapolate that across 12, I have 13 companies right now. So I have 13 businesses, and all of them are in various stages of that. So it's a little complicated. That said, I would put my money on probably that, because I don't make money from Better Life. The 50, I don't really make money from. That's mostly we just spend it on ridiculous amounts of wine and food for all the cool guys that are there, because we can do that because we have no women to yell at us. It's great. Yeah. And then I just get random checks from random things that I did years ago. Like we had an apartment complex go full cycle. So we sold one of our apartment complexes. It was like 3 apartments. And I just randomly get some nice big old check from both what I invested. I got my money back plus a big return. And then I got my GP component. And I'm like, oh, I can live on that for a while. So like you just put a lot out there over the course of a decade of a career, and it just keeps coming back. And it seems to work out okay.
You know, you made it when you come home to your hometown and you see a sign outside the border and it says, "Home of Brandon Turner."
Exactly. That's what we need. That's what we need. I'm going to see if they'll put that up in North Branch, Minnesota. Home of Brandon Turner.
Okay, this actually dovetails pretty nicely, because I wanted to ask you. So I listened to the Drunk Real Estate podcast. I don't know if you catch any of those episodes with Jay Scott and Mauricio Raould and those guys.
I have not listened to more than the clips on social media. And that's only because I'm super competitive and I don't want them to get one more download. So.
Totally understand. And I've got a great question. I have a great question at the end that I'm going to ask you about this in particular. So what are some things that you've invested in outside of real estate that are maybe not many people know about?
Oh, very little. I'm such all my eggs in one basket, guard that basket well kind of a guy. I have 10 grand I put into Bitcoin that's now worth like 20, which is cool. I bought it at a halfway decent time. I invested in SpaceX, which is kind of cool. Fairly early on. I have a friend who's really good friends with Elon Musk. It's not even a public company, but I have a friend who's friends with Elon. And so he got me into a SpaceX early on investment, which is pretty cool. It's not paying me right now. I make nothing off of it, but supposedly, it could go, Elon's just taking over the world, and like with the Starlink stuff that's going on and like Tesla, anyway, it's wild. So Starlink, I'm in a bunch of I'm in a few syndications, most of which are not going well, like of other people. So I've invested in a bunch of my friends' deals, and it's just a rough time to be in multifamily right now. So a lot of those are not doing well. Some of them will survive. Some I'll probably lose my entire investment on. And that's the name of the game. But
you should use your resources and get Elon on your podcast.
dude, it's like I don't want to ask my buddy who like it's like one of those like weird things like, hey, will you ask your friend to come on my little podcast? Like,
hey,
I did that.
yeah, we reached out to Megan.
Yeah.
Hello.
Megan's like, I'll do it.
It totally works. I'll do it. I'll ask Elon for you.
Yeah, we're just like, I'm like 2 steps removed, but like, you know, it's weird enough. So I have not pushed it yet. I would love to have Elon though. So Elon, if you're listening, I know you're a big fan of the show, Elon. Please come on my podcast, not theirs.
Okay, this is hot take time. What is your take on DOGE?
Like the government efficiency,
Yes.
or the Bitcoin, or the
Okay, I realize this is very controversial. I'm putting you on the hot seat a little bit here,
Yeah.
but let's look at this just as a human being, not a righty-lefty thing. What do you think about that approach to auditing basically everything that's going on in behind the scenes? And there's all kinds of rhetoric going on both sides of the aisle. But
I have no idea on this one. I believe Elon has a good heart behind what he's doing. I think that I know how messed up like it is trying to track financials of my 12 companies and how difficult that really is. And then I think how like completely incompetent almost all government workers are. And I think like if we struggle with getting the finances dialed, they are definitely struggling with it. So I don't think even the government has any idea, even close to idea of how much money they're actually making or losing or spending at any given moment. So I think he's got a good heart of saying, hey, let's organize this and let's do better. I don't think it's going to make much of an impact probably. And I think he's probably stirring up a lot of pots that are just going to piss people off, and someone's probably going to try to kill him at some point, and then nothing will change. So I don't know. I like what he's doing with it. I'm a fan of Elon Musk in general.
Did you hear him on Joe Rogan the last time he talked about?
Only clips.
Yeah, he talked about in the end there. He goes, there's so much stuff I've uncovered that I can't talk about it because I'm very sure that I'm going to get killed if I bring this up. He goes, but the corruption I have uncovered, he goes, I'm not even going to touch.
Yeah.
We avoid political rhetoric on this podcast in general, but like, why can't we just take all the hats off and just say, we're human beings. Let's make this make sense. You know, we have a government that we are paying for as taxpayers. Yep. Shouldn't somebody be looking into where all the money is going? And like, who cares who it is? Like, who cares who's in office? Like, let's just get somebody independent that can go in and do it. And whether Elon is or isn't the right guy, I mean, there's so much blowback out of this, but it's like a landmine filled thing to even talk about this on any type of medium. But
imagine we're 5 years in the future, right? And we are living in a dystopian end of the world, like, you know, like horrible, horrible world in which Elon Musk and Donald Trump took over the entire world and like turned it into like, you know, some horrible future, like everyone's enslaved thing. We look back and be like, yeah, we probably should have seen that coming. I mean, it was literally the richest man on earth with like the president are working to like I feel like this could go very, very badly. But at the same time, it's very badly needed. So it's like, do we just risk it?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably risk it.
Nobody else is fixing anything.
Nobody else is fixing anything. Yeah. It's like what's the fast? Like move fast and break things. That's definitely Elon Musk's like method here. It's like move quick and break things. It's hard though, like when you're breaking things that actually affect people's real life, where it's like, oh yeah, these people now are going to die because you didn't give funding to this one organization over in Uganda, which was helping all the kids. Now all the kids are dead. It's like, that's the price of moving fast and breaking things when you're working at the government level. But at the same time, if you bankrupt a country and then we just go into a third world nation and we lose 100 million of our own people because we can't handle our money, I mean, that's also a problem. So there's no good answers here. I admire Elon being willing to take a bullet, so to speak.
Yeah. And the thing is too, it's like, you know, they only have 4 years, right? And it's so hard to get anything done in any compressed time frame like that. And then you're out of office, and whether or not there's a regime change, it's like it could unwind everything that was already done. So it's so broken, and it's so tiresome to get both sides of the aisle just like spouting, you know, nonsense and insults, you know, across it. We can't really get anything done because there's such an impasse. But okay, that was we dipped a toe into politics, so that was.
We'll talk about Donald Trump for a little bit.
Yeah. No, we'll move on to softer topics here, but it's Ted. Do you have any opinion on this?
I got a lot of opinions, but I'm gonna keep them myself.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk politics at all. Like that was the most political Brandon.
Me?
Yeah.
I've actually heard more politics out of your mouth in the last like 6 months of podcasts I've listened to than I think I've ever heard you talk about.
Well, now I'm not owned by private equity anymore, so I can actually have an opinion. The bottom line, though, is I'm just so much of a nuanced guy. This is actually why I'm not better at social media. I'm just way too nuanced. You know, you take a guy like Grant Cardone who's like, Donald Trump is the savior of mankind. Follow him to my death. Like, I'll follow him to my death. And I'm like, well, Donald Trump has done some good things. He's also kind of a douchebag, and he's done a lot of bad things. And so if you look at the good things that he's done, all of a sudden, like, nobody cares. Next. Right. But if I was like, I hate Donald Trump or I love Donald Trump, that's what's going to do well. I'm just way too nuanced to be in politics. Like everything, I'm like, yeah, it's probably both. And then, yeah.
I remember having a conversation. I know you're hearing a ghost right now. I remember having a conversation with my wife about what Donald is doing. And she was like, oh, you know, he's affecting all these lives and DOGE is not doing the best thing. And I'm like, okay, in certain cases you have to take like drastic measures to get drastic results. And in this case, you know, if they go through the democratic, quote unquote democratic way of trying to make any change, it probably take, as Owen said, until the end of their tenure, and then, you know, it's rushing to try to make decisions, to make changes, and then nothing gets changed, nothing improves. We probably end up in more debt, and then it's like, okay, nothing is better, and they have nothing to show for their time. So while I have the mic, I'm going to jump into a question just before Ted and Owen jump back on. I have a question. And Megan. I have a question for you, and it has to do with faith. You frequently talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you talk about real estate so much, but when you talk about faith, like usually those posts don't get much traction, you know, like compared to, and I look at it, so I see. But what role does faith play in your real estate investing life, but also in your everyday life as well?
It's a good question. So I'm a pretty mainstream Christian guy. Nothing weird in there. I mean, I have 3 wives, but other than that, it's nothing weird in there. And
you can get a TV show for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm working for. That's why I grew the beard.
Please tell me you're joking with the 3 wives thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's called Sister Wives.
Dennis is from Trinidad. I apologize.
All right. So, how does faith form it? A couple of things. One, I believe that most of the world thinks of faith-based people as either idiots or simpletons. I mean, it's the same thing. Or hypocritical. All right. So, like, I'm a big believer in, like, my quote-unquote mission field is like, can I just make people see you can be a normal person that has like a sense of humor and also likes to make money and also likes to, like, you know, raise good family, but also be a Christian? Like, I like that kind of idea of just being like a normal Christian, because the ones that get all the press is like the weird ones, right? So I kind of look at that as my purpose in a lot of ways, is like, you can, I mean, I'm a little weird, but I'm not like 3 wives weird. And so, like, I like that. I do believe that wealth is more dangerous than alcohol. What I mean by that is, like, we all drink. No, not all of us, but most of us drink. But we recognize that there is danger to this. We could go down the wrong path and have alcohol lead us down the wrong path. Therefore, we set up safeguards to prevent against that, hopefully. You know, like if we find we're drinking too much, we do dry January, right? I think wealth is more dangerous than alcohol. It can lead people more wrongly and more badly if you're not in check with it. And so it's interesting. Like, I feel sometimes like I'm a bartender, where like a lot of people struggle with wealth, and it's not helping people be happier in life or more productive in life. Yes, up to a certain point, having more money, being able to pay your bills is important, but getting rich doesn't necessarily make your life better. And here I am, just like freely giving out drinks, like out of the keg. And so I think a lot about it. It's a balancing act, I think, in terms of, like, the Bible has a lot of good things to say about wealth and how to build it. And then the Bible has a lot of things to say about the dangers of it and how it can make you a worse person. I actually don't believe that what everyone says it all the time. I've probably said it. Wealth doesn't make you good or bad. It just reveals more of who you are. I will argue that. I think wealth makes most people worse people. The more money you have, the more problems you have, and the worse person you become. Not always, but generally. And so therefore, it's a fine line between how do I help people realize that financial freedom is awesome and having wealth is cool and it can do a lot of good things. But but how do you not buy into it and then just become a worse person? So there's my theories in 3 minutes on wealth and money.
There's got to be some sort of like law of diminishing returns on the wealth.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Up to a certain point, you're like, hey, you got more options now. You can have more time with your kids. You can, whatever. You can have the life that you want, the time that you want, the time freedom. And then there's like private jet douchebag. Well, there's definitely a lot.
Brandon was almost there.
I was almost there.
Scraping the line. Bro.
Thank you, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that answer about wealth. Do you feel sometimes that fellow Christians look at you in a particular way, like, oh, you have all that money and you're not giving more to the church, or you're not giving more to the poor, or like those things? Because
it's only $1 billion he's trying to give away.
By the way, Dennis is a Christian. He's sitting over here like an assassin.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, you didn't lead with that though, man.
Bro,
you gotta make him comfortable.
Listen.
Like, I can read between the lines. I got this.
You could probably see me now because I pulled my microphone.
You're back in the corner, but I got you.
I am, yeah.
Dennis has been out of active hot mic podcasting for a while, so he's not really all that acclimated back to the nuances of you gotta lead with comfort, man. Like, hey, by the way, I'm a Christian also. I'm gonna ask you some of these questions. Don't just sandbag him.
I can feel
over here. Comes in creepy, like, have you?
It was the guy in the background. Yes, I do believe. Okay, this isn't even necessarily a Christian thing, but since that's kind of my worldview, there's a lot of people who just look really down on rich people. When I was a kid, I always tell this story, but I love the story. My buddy Corey had a house cleaner. Well, his parents had a house cleaner. They owned a big, successful plumbing company, a little bit of real estate, but they were very successful plumbing company, and they hired a house cleaner. I used to look down on him so much, be like, oh, what, like rich people and their house cleaners. They're so rich that they hire, like, they can't even clean their own like house. They can't even wash their own laundry. Oh my gosh, like rich people are horrible. At the time, I thought they were rich, and so then they had a house cleaner. What I have since learned is that they are rich because they have a house cleaner. In other words, like, they were able to build wealth because they were able to optimize their time and hire the right people to do the right things, including house cleaning. It didn't make them a worse person. They weren't lazy. I guess what I'm getting at here. They were smart. And so I've kind of rethought a lot, but I know that there's millions and millions and millions of people who think the way that I used to think. Rich people are lazy. They are entitled. They are jerks, and they are trying to just be greedy and take all the money in the world so that the poor people have less and they have more. And now, are there people that do that? Yes, for sure. But I know that a lot of people think that about me. In fact, I had I think you were even there, Megan, when I was telling the story last time, or when it happened, but I got a message on my TikTok from somebody that said, all I saw was, because you only see the most recent messages, said, all your family laughs about you behind your back. And I was like, what a weird statement. So I like opened up the thread, and there's dozens of messages from somebody on TikTok that's clearly my family, actually. So I finally found out it's like one of my like second cousins or something like that. And she's like off her rocker, but she's just like, your whole family thinks you're ridiculous and all you care about is money. Everybody thinks that you're an awful person. You're like, so like one after another. And I know she's being extreme and she's clearly off her meds, but I guarantee they talk about me. Oh, there goes Brandon in his fancy whatever. Oh, I saw another video of Brandon today. Who's he think he is? And I'm like, yeah, okay, but guess who they call for advice every time they run into a real estate problem? Like,
yeah, but that still kind of hurts the heart
a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. But it's like, I don't lean into it too much because I'm like, I mean, she's like, she was clearly off some meds somewhere, so something was going on. And I always give people what I call the most, like, I don't call it this, it's called this, like the most generous explanation. So like anything that happens in life, like I'm generally like the guy that, like somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, oh man, yeah, they probably just had a heart problem. They were hurrying to the airport, to the hospital. Or like somebody gives me the finger, I'm like, oh man, their other fingers must be broken. Like that's sad they can only hold up one finger and it happens in the middle one. I always assume that everyone has the best intentions and they have the best explanation for why they act the way they do. And I am so much more happy in life because of that. Where I know most people just assume the worst about everyone. Like, oh, that guy clearly hates me because of my hair. It's like, that guy doesn't even look at you. So anyway, that's how I look at the family thing. But yeah, to answer the original question, yeah, people look down on me and laugh at me and make fun of me and say I'm cringy and whatever else. And that's all right.
do you find that like when you were first getting your legs under you when you were in BiggerPockets and all that and started getting more recognition, and then that's when a lot of people, it's the crabs in the bucket theory, it's like when everybody roots for you until you pass them and then they start dragging you down or trying to, or just like disparaging comments. Did you struggle with that a while back? I know you've probably gotten a lot thicker skin since you've been through the trenches here in real estate and visibility.
Yeah. I don't know. I think most people are actually pretty kind outside of YouTube comments. Like most people are pretty actually decent humans. And like, I hear this all the time from influencers, all the time. They say things like this, and you've heard it too, I'm sure. When I was starting my company, everybody said it couldn't be done. They all said I was stupid and that I was a moron and I was going to lose everything. But you know what? I fought through and I showed up, and now those people are asking me for advice. And I'm like, no one ever said that to you. Nobody ever said you're a loser. You're never going to make it. No, you felt that because you're insecure. And now you just go and put that on a bunch of other people. So I think most people are actually pretty nice, other than my cousin who sent me those TikTok messages. So I don't feel a lot of the like pulling back. I mean, yeah, maybe like the little comments like, oh, who's he think he is? Cringy, like, dancing videos. But yeah, overall, people are pretty nice. I once heard Dan Crenshaw, who's a U.S. senator from Texas, the guy with one eye. He was on a podcast once, and he is not very well liked, like by both the right and the left. A lot of people really don't like him, and like really don't like him. And he once on this podcast, he said, I get yelled at all day long online, constantly berated and swore at and death threats and everything. And he goes, I have never once, not one time in person, been yelled at. No one has ever said anything to me in person. He goes, because everybody is weak in person. Everyone's weak and kind. And in online, everyone's got this like, aggression and boldness. And I feel the same way. No one's ever been weird in person, ever.
This is why I don't want to do politics.
I know. I couldn't do politics. Megan, could you?
I really don't care. People don't like me, so I have, not as much like need to pleaseness maybe as some other people in the room. But yeah, I really do.
I hope you're looking at Owen during that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he's yeah.
That was hurtful. So, okay, Brandon, this has been great. It's been awesome catching up. We have
been the best show you ever did. The best show you guys ever did. I just said it out loud, and now it's true. I put it.
Well, just so you know, episode 60 is our highest viewed episode we've ever had.
Was that the one I was on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
look at you.
It was not you. It was your.
It was the one I was on.
Yeah.
That is true. Megan was on that one.
Megan's been on the podcast more than anybody.
That's true.
Yes.
I just weasel my way into everything.
It goes you, Sarah Weaver, and then probably Brandon.
I tell you what, if I was a guy that was into some nefarious things, I would probably hire Megan to be like to get around the gatekeeper, and she could be a really good cat burglar. Other than the distinguishing tattoos that she has, that would probably be
They do stand out.
I get things done.
Yeah.
I do stand out.
Well, you should get back to work. I think he's been.
Yeah, I think that first deal needs some attention. So
I think
don't
this
know.
is work. I think it counts. I'm clocking my hours.
All right, Brandon, I got one for you. What do you think? Or you may know this. I'm guessing you may know it, but
I know everything.
How many letters are in the Hawaiian alphabet?
I have no idea. 11.
Megan's guess was 16. And
Wait, what was your question again? It was how many?
How many letters are in the?
He's
Googling
it.
You can't look at your screen.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just was thinking that the Hawaiian alphabet has 13 letters. That's just what I knew. I just knew that.
Okay, so
it's actually the vowels A, E, I, O, U plus H, K, L, M, N, P, and W, and the okina, which is that little like
weird
dash.
Yeah. So I did a little experiment here online. So there's if you just Google Hawaiian name generator, there's a movie called Forgetting Sarah Marshall that came out several years ago. Isn't that movie great? Like, I love that movie.
He's been wanting to quote this all day.
Yeah, Jason Segel, Kristen Bell, and like Russell Brand. And
should we make a bet on whether Megan's seen that movie? She hasn't. Don't worry.
I haven't.
She's
I don't watch any movies. Zero.
Every movie reference I ever make, She's like, I don't know. I was like, did we just become best friends? She's like, what is that? I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that? It's the best movie of all time. Step Brothers, whatever. Keep going.
I've watched like 3 movies, period. That's it. So
Zoolander. I know you've seen Zoolander because you get my
Zoolander?
Zoolander references.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber. You get those.
It's Congeniality. That's probably the 3.
Okay, let me backtrack a minute. So in our previous episode 60, we asked you who would deliver your eulogy.
Are you googly?
You googly. And I was like, I thought that was pretty hilarious when you said that. And I was like, God, that sounds kind of familiar. And then this literally happened to me last month. I happened to watch Zoolander.
Yep.
And that came on, and Ben Stiller's character said that. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
I dropped that to see who knows Zoolander quote.
No, I guarantee you could tell I didn't pick it up.
That was the only reference I've ever gotten. But
Yeah, that was it. I drop Stepbrother quotes and Zoolander quotes quite often to see who picks up what I'm throwing down.
Okay, so getting back to Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So in the movie, there's a scene where Jason Segel's character, his name was Peter, goes up to Paul Rudd's character, and he wants to get a surfing lesson, but he's had a bad time. His girlfriend was cheating on him with Russell Brand and all that. And he goes up and he sees Paul Rudd, and he says, what's your name? And, he says, Kunu. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, that's my Hawaiian name. My real name is, whatever.
Tom or something.
Tom, yeah, it was some basic name. And he's like, oh, what's your name? And he's like, my name's Peter. And he's like, oh, I'm going to call you Piopi or something ridiculous. And that's what made me think of this, because you're in Hawaii and all that. We have the Hawaiian shirts on ish. And so your name, do you want to know what your name is in Hawaiian?
I would love to know.
I can't believe you don't know.
I don't know.
Your name in Hawaiian is Palana Konu.
Exactly what I was thinking. It sounds exactly like me.
And mine, this is embarrassing for me personally, but my name is Owena. So not Owen, just add an A on the end, Owena. So that's the feminine form of Owen, apparently. Megan,
this guy have a weedy noise to it, though.
Megan's is Mikana.
That's a pretty one.
It to that,
And Ted's, bizarrely, is Kiko.
Oh yeah, I'm very Kiko.
And Denless, I typed it in, and they did not have any recognition at all of it. It's their story. So I typed it into the thing, and it spit out like, we don't know what that is.
This is where you get the makeup on like Peter.
Yeah. So. And they're like, must be from Trinidad. That's what it said. But we have some questions, and we're mixing these up a little bit because you've been through the episode 60. We had some original questions. We have some new ones for you. Ready for this?
And by the way, if you're wondering what our original questions sound like, you should go to episode 60 where he talks about a whale landing on you and all the other fun stuff of that. But which was really good. But we got some
what a way to go.
Ones, more original.
Okay, first question for you: if you had to fight David Green, Jay Scott, Josh Dorkin, Alex Felice, or AJ Osborne, out of that entire group, who do you think you could take down no problem, and who do you think is going to give you some real trouble?
Oh, I'm going to go with, oh man. Oh, that's a tough one. Josh Dorkin is actually super strong, but he's the shortest of that group. So I'm going to go with Josh because he was the shortest of them.
That was your guess.
So you think you could just toss Josh Dorkin around? Like you'd probably just throw him off a cliff?
I think at some point when you're like 220 and 6'5", like I can just toss people around. Though that was my favorite podcast question ever. Every time I'd interview a woman on the podcast who's like a small little lady who does like Taekwondo or some kind of like martial arts, I always ask them, like, if you and I were just flat out fighting right now, who would win? And usually they say they would, but we have yet to find out.
Is that what Megan said?
Megan, what would I do if you and I were like full on like no what's the word, like you can like fight dirty, it doesn't matter, like this is not a clean fight, like we're on the street, could you beat me? Not a chance, not even a chance.
You know,
I just grab you and just drop. Like I'm a white belt jujitsu. You can't fight a white belt jujitsu.
I have watched women beat Brandon in arm wrestling matches. So it's debatable. I'm just saying it's debatable. I don't know who would win between you and I.
It happened one time, all right? One time.
Multiple women.
Multiple women, whatever.
She was really strong.
I mean, I could just see Megan going full Tasmanian devil on you.
Though. Oh, like, she would be
just like
violent.
Hair and nails and just like kicking you in the junk and like
it would not end pretty. I'd be a lot of blood.
My wife's a middle school teacher. She says she'll break, and she's she's like 120, and she's like, I will break up any guy fight. But when it comes to the girls, I just step back and let the security guards come in.
No, that is a whole thing, man. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, you didn't answer the second part, which is so you can definitely take Josh Dorkin, and we're going to tag him in this. What do you think about David Green? And I'm guessing, well, okay. What about the rest of them, though?
Jay Scott's got to be the easiest.
I mean, I don't.
That was low blow. I like. Jay.
I mean, Jay's a big dude, like not like a fat dude, but like
he's
Jay's
on a weight
like
loss challenge, though.
He's a big dude. Like David Green's a big dude. Like David's so strong.
Yeah.
Like David and I text like gym pictures to each other all the time because we're weird like that. So we're like flexing in the mirror and like shirts off. So like I've seen David. He's ripped.
Are those AI pictures of David lately, or are those really real? Because I thought they were AI when that's what I saw.
The video of him tearing his shirt through his skin, that was AI, shockingly. Yeah, that's definitely AI. I just made an AI picture of myself. You won't be able to see this, but check this out. Actually, I lied. It's not an AI picture at all. It's completely real. I didn't say that just now. It's totally real. Let me see if I can find it.
I think I saw this.
Was this? Well, it wasn't the video. It's this one right here. You're not gonna be able to see this, but look at that. You see that guy?
And tatted up.
All tatted up. Look at this.
They call him the Tatty Turner.
Oh my gosh.
They call me the Tatty Turner. Look at that.
Tattoo also.
I don't know about that.
Look at it. It's got this weird little mouth over the belly button.
That's so gross.
I don't want to see any of this.
No, it's really, really hot stuff.
Right.
No, yeah.
This is they're just regular. They're shirt on.
Yeah.
Look at those tats right there. Right there. Right.
Megan,
I'm telling you, the sleeves you get like 10 times harder as soon as you get an elbow tat. But
wow. Okay.
But the demon on your belly thing with the mouth, I don't know. It's weird.
It's a little weird. That's all right.
Okay, so the next question is for you. If you could relive any day in your life, like Groundhog Day, what day is it going to be?
It's a good question. Hold on. I got to think of a good one. Because like the pat answers, right, are like the day I got married or the day I had kids. The day Gilly was born was a terrible day. I was so sick. I had 104 fever when my wife went into labor. Ooh. Yeah, that's a story.
I've never heard that.
You were a lot of help then.
Yeah, I was so much help. Yeah. Oh, that was the closest to dying I think I've ever been. That was wild. I laid on the floor one day. I was sick for like 10 days. I laid on the floor and I told Rosie, I was like, I need you to call 911 if you can't get a hold of if you can't like wake me in the next little bit. I was like, I can't get off the floor. That was gnarly. That was my wife was in the hospital with Gilly. Anyway,
isn't that scary though? Because I had that moment. I had West Nile, and only guy in Nebraska to get West Nile in 2020. Of course, COVID year. And I remember for 30 days, I had a fever from 100 to 105.
Jeez.
And they wouldn't let me in the hospital because of COVID.
Yeah, that's wild.
It was a range. I went up and down. But I remember it's like that night before, I was like, I'm not going to live through tomorrow. And I remember like writing down like my passwords and everything down to my wife. And then they found me on the floor in the bathroom the next day. Oof. And that's when they finally let me in the emergency room.
He texted me like, "Please clear my browser history." That was like, so yeah, it was.
Yeah, we all got friends like that. Yeah. That's fun. All right, I'm gonna give this answer. This was a great day. This was the very first event we did for the 50. We only had 12, 13, 14 guys there. We went and took helicopters into the Grand Canyon and we savored champagne off the edge of the Grand Canyon, and then like came back down the strip at sunset, like in these helicopters. It was legit. And then we had like one of the best dinners ever. And that was a cool day. Was that the day you joined us for dinner? I know you didn't go on the helicopter.
I did go to that dinner.
You went to that dinner.
Was it
that Wagyu?
Wasn't Colin Schwartz there?
Yeah,
because Colin talked about
how amazing
Chad
was there. Yeah. Yeah, it was a good
like
day.
Wagyu on like a stone right next to you. It was like 20 courses of meat. It was like,
it was.
Wait a minute. How did you weasel your way into?
That's a great question.
I'm telling you what.
How did you?
I
don't know.
Professional weaseler inner. Okay?
Don't
worry about it.
All right, Megan, you're on the hot mic here. What do you got?
Okay. What conspiracy theory do you think might actually be true?
Do we consider the Wuhan lab leak a conspiracy theory, or is that just fact at this point?
I think they proved it fact now.
I feel like it's fact. So I would have said that one, but I think that one's all fact at this point. I would say that we didn't land on the moon. I'm not saying we didn't, but that's the one that like We really wanted to beat the Russians. Now, do I believe we've been to the moon? Yes. But that day, did Neil Armstrong actually land on the moon? I could see that being fake. We really needed to beat the
I
Russians.
was not expecting that at all. I was expecting you to say like Roswell, Area 51, aliens are real.
I mean, aliens are not conspiracy. That's just given fact also. But
okay, all right. We're hot takes.
Conspiracy theory. Yeah, I'm a believer. I'm an alien believer.
It is amazing that they're able to go to the moon then, but now
it can't.
Right now, it's such a struggle to go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There's a lot of weird things about that, but I do think we probably went, but we had a lot of reason to lie. Like we had a national 100
that was an emergency.
We had to get there.
That was like DEFCON 1.5.
Yeah, beating the Russians was so important.
Okay, we're on Netflix. A new episode or a new movie has dropped. Somebody is playing you in a new Netflix movie, not biopic. They told me I couldn't say biopic because neither one of these two knew what it meant. But somebody's playing you. Who do you think it's going to be?
Don't you wish you had these questions beforehand?
Oh no, this is great.
I like the long dramatic pause though.
Yeah, I gotta.
And do you think you'll have your own Netflix documentary one day?
I definitely will. Yeah. It's like definitely. Okay, I'm gonna pick this guy's name. What's the guy who plays Reacher in the Amazon?
Oh yeah.
Alan Richson.
Alan Richson.
Yeah. Because clearly we look identical. Our body types are pretty much the same.
Build. Yeah.
We look the same. And because the actual character in Reacher is, I believe, 6'5". I think Reacher's 6'5" in the story.
But Brandon's been asked to play in the documentary as ZZ Top.
I have been. They just keep asking me, and I keep saying no. But they're like, "Please come."
We'll have to. They just have to slap a prosthetic beard on him. Yeah. So, Ted, you got one more question?
Okay. Here's the last question of the day. What are you excited about right now in your life, business? What's coming up?
I'm really excited about is the REI Summit 2025 happening in Austin, Texas, June 1st through 3rd. Get your tickets at reisummit2025.com. I actually am excited about that. When I go to conferences, this always weirds people out. Maybe not weird. That's the wrong word. It always surprises people that when I go to a conference, whether I'm speaking at somebody else's conference, whatever, most speakers fly in, they get ushered backstage, they go on stage, do their thing, they leave. And no one ever sees them. I literally just go to these conferences because I like conferences, and this is where all my friends are. So I just hang out the entire time. This is that's why I go to Limitless every year, and I go to the REI Summit. I put that one on, so I'm in charge of that one. I go to conferences all the time because I just actually like hanging out with real estate nerds. So I'm excited about that. That should be fun. And I got a little baby. He's 3 months old, 4 months old now. It's super cute, and he's starting to laugh. Just a few times, he's chuckling and laughing, and that's the best. Baby laughs. Oh, so good.
What's the biggest difference between having 2 kids and 3 kids?
I don't know if this is a 2 to 3 kid thing or what, but I forgot how just completely, and this is not to throw my wife under the bus. She's amazing, but incapable of anything other than keeping a human alive. She can do that's all she can do. Keep a human alive all day long. And the baby just cries if she's not holding them or helping them or feeding them or nursing them or putting them down. So I've been making most of the meals, cleaning the house, getting the kids ready for school in the morning, tucking them in the bed at night. I feel a little bit like a single dad because and that surprised me. I was not used to that. When it was only one kid, Heather could kind of handle the one kid and Wilder, but now with Gilly, it's she's just on him full time. Yeah. So that's been surprising. It's been fun. I've rediscovered a love for cooking. I brag a lot, but I'm going to really brag here. You ready?
Yeah.
I make the best chicken breast you will ever eat. I'm world class now at chicken breast and steak. I'm gonna go with either one of those, but especially people make better steak. I've never had a better chicken, so I'm gonna go. Actually, after we get off this call, I'm gonna go eat some chicken because I meal prep now my entire week. Chicken and broccoli.
Sounds like a competition for when you come to Omaha.
I will make the best chicken you've ever had.
Ted's I will never come to Omaha.
Yeah, he's gonna acknowledge that you said it, not acknowledge that he's coming. Yeah,
no, but I was thinking about doing, and I probably won't do it. I won't. I'm not announcing this, but I thought about it. Is doing a contest with different real estate groups around the country, whoever, something along the lines of, if you sell 50 tickets to the REI Summit, Brandon will come out and speak at your event and host a thing. I thought if I did something like that, I don't know what number makes it worth it me to fly out. But like, I want the REI Summit to be the biggest real estate conference in the country. And I think the way to do that is I got to bribe the real estate clubs to do bulk sales. Even if they don't show up, they're just going to buy 50 tickets.
That would be a no-brainer for our group.
Player
I might do
two
that in the
is in the chat.
Yeah. Ted will just buy 50 tickets and then do giveaways. Yeah.
You're speaking Ted's love language right now.
I mean,
That's
whatever.
right. I like that idea. And then I'm like, yeah, I could sell a bunch of tickets that way. Anyway, all right.
The Omaha REIA doesn't have the finances to probably cover your bills, but we would definitely cover your flight to come visit Megan, and then just happen to visit our Omaha REIA group.
But
Brandon
Megan can come visit in Hawaii.
And
way better.
He keeps pawning me into hanging out with him and also paying him money to do it. So he's not going to go there.
Yeah, this is kind of isn't he supposed to be your employer? Like you're giving him money all the time?
We have a really weird relationship. My bookkeeper is like, who is Brandon? I'm like, he's my friend. She's like, he's not your friend. You guys are paying each other back and forth the whole time. Like, that's not the definition of friend. I'm like,
pimp. The word is pimp. It's much better.
Hey, Brandon, if we could bring 224 people in for Jason Dries 2 weeks ago, I mean, I couldn't imagine how many people we'd bring in if you came here. So
you could bring a lot, and then you could charge everybody a little bit of money, and then we could donate it all to charity.
Let's do it. Done deal.
That's good.
I'm down for that.
I'll get the dates together with Kat there.
Make it happen.
Kat's in charge.
Well, I want to first off thank Megan Ahern, the Tatty Investor, because it was on the 60th episode almost 3 years ago was the reason that we had the privilege of sitting in the room with both you guys, and which just so you guys know is our highest viewed podcast we have ever had. It was fun. We did some jiu-jitsu moves, and that episode has led into so many people coming on the podcast that we normally wouldn't have gotten just because Megan and Brandon were on it. And
I'll have you know, you don't want to thank Megan too much. I've been asking her for 3 years, when can I come back on that show? And she says, no, they don't want you. They really don't want you. They don't like you. And so I had to beg this time. So thank you for bringing me on, but it's really her fault that I haven't been more often. So don't thank her too much.
Well, I know for a fact you wouldn't have jumped on a new podcast that had 60 episodes unless you had Megan in our corner.
I might have.
And I mentioned this before, but just a reminder, when we were on episode 10, we went to BiggerPockets in what city was that?
New Orleans?
New Orleans.
Diego?
Yeah, New Orleans.
I don't know.
And 2021, I believe it was. And we came with the whole intent of growing the podcast. And you and David were sitting in a room doing a podcast breakout session. And I came up to you and I told you what we're doing. We were called Omaha REIA Radio. And the first thing you said is your name sucks. You go, why would you put yourself just to Omaha? He goes, make it REIA Radio, still interview locals and then get in your nationals and grow. 200 episodes later, which I think is a feat for us, we're still here. We changed our format. We changed our name, but based on that initial contact that we had with you. And so thank you so much for that advice. Thank you so much for your support that you've given us. I just want to say thank you for the people that are here in Nebraska that have been impacted by you, like we mentioned before, because it's a big deal for us, and to have somebody like Megan in our corner and our guest podcast host here, which has been great. We thank you so much for this. And with that, Megan, you want to give us a sign up before we give Owen the final word?
Yeah, I just have to remind you that you are only a man, Brandon.
Thank you.
After all of that. Butt kissing from Ted
it was
here.
So much butt kissing. I'm so good at it.
It was. But yeah, you're amazing. I don't have to tell you that.
Thanks.
Oh, like you haven't been butt kissing him by attending all the events.
She's the opposite. She is you guys know that reference is, right? Like Caesar, one of the Caesars back in the day, used to go through the streets of Rome and everyone's shouting and throwing like roses at him. And he hires a guy to sit behind him and whisper in his ear, "You're only a man. You're only a man." So Megan is my hired guy.
That's my whole job in life, is to just follow Brandon around and make sure he doesn't get too big of a head.
That's pretty much it.
The ladies can beat him in arm wrestling, and that he's only a man.
Yeah, we appreciate
ladies can beat him in arm wrestling.
Owen, you want to see us out?
On behalf of REIA Radio, Aiden Bear, the absent Aiden Bear, Dennis Bertrand, Megan Ahern, and Ted Kaasch. I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to Brandon. I'm a little weird, but I'm not 3 wives weird. Turner. Signing off.
Probably should have wore pants today if I would have known this was going to be a live.
Hey, so Brandon, we have this. We're mixing this up a little bit today since you've been on before. We have when we rap, we have a set of questions we typically.
You rap? Like
we do. It's a rap battle. No,
yeah, that's amazing.
When we wrap up the episode.